Welcome back, folks. I'm Jake Ellenbogen. Today we're going to be talking about coaching, and that means there's going to be another poach from the Rams, and that is Nick Caley, who's going over to the Houston Texans to become the offensive coordinator. And we're going to get into exactly what that means, what he's leaving the Rams with, but also what the Rams could do to fill his position. Before we dive into it, be sure to like, subscribe, and comment. Be sure to follow me on all social media, including Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, and Kick at JKBogan. In addition to that, just want to let you guys know that today's sponsor is Prize Picks. And we got the freebie here for the Super Bowl, the big game. If you're finding yourself having a little bit of trouble to get into the Super Bowl this year, well, start off, check out Prize Picks. Code JKBogan will get you $50 instantly when you play at least a $5 lineup. And you get a freebie for a limited time. Patrick Mahomes, he throws one passing yard, which he will get, and you will have one essentially check mark right off your little lineup there. So be sure to get in on the action over at Prize Picks. Again, that is going to be JKBogan as the code. All right, guys. So Nick Caley, 42 years old, served as the pass game coordinator for the Rams. He also was the tight ends coach for 2 seasons. He was with the Patriots. He's coached tight ends like Rob Gronkowski and Tyler Higbee and Hunter Henry, Jonnu Smith, plenty others. Yeah, he is headed over to the Houston Texans. Now, Houston has a lot of connections to the Patriots. So I do think that, with this thing right here, it makes sense why they'd be interested. He was with the Patriots from 2017 to 2022, then came over to the Rams, and he's been there for 3 years, or 2 years. So, I understand that, right? But, it is frustrating. We're talking about yet another coach that was poached. And, I understand it because from Kaylee's perspective, this is a guy that continued to turn down offensive coordinator positions because he really wanted to stay with the Rams. He loved just the fit. Really didn't want to go anywhere else unless there was a real okay, this is a great spot for me. So you can't just say, well, Kayley gave up with the Rams the first chance he got. It's actually not true. This is a guy that stuck around for kind of the long haul here in this day and age. I mean, you stick around 2 years, that's the long haul in itself. But this is somebody that was approached heavily last year to be an offensive coordinator, and he decided to stay. And now he's getting an opportunity, and he gets to go over with the Texans that have kind of that front office from the New England Patriots and, have some guys there. So there's also, a lot of different things, the connection to John Carroll University that some of the coaches on the coaching staff have. So I think it makes a lot of sense for him, and I don't fault him in the slightest. It's promotion. He gets a chance to call plays, and he gets the chance to have CJ Stroud while doing it. That's a good thing for him. Also, they're a playoff team. Now, who's going to replace him, though? That's the real question, because if you're watching this, unless you're a Texans fan, you wish Nick Caley all the best, but you're not sitting there like, yeah, man, I definitely want to know everything that he's going to do with the Texans. But who could replace him? There are a few guys, but I think really the guy that I look at that will replace him, this is my guess, is going to be Nathan Scheelhaas, who Sean McVay brought over from Iowa State. I think the Iowa State connection needs to be kind of focused on, I think, during this draft process, because there are some guys that he coached over at Iowa State that I think, that's something to keep in mind here. But furthermore, Nate Scheelhaas, this is a guy who's the offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach at Iowa State, running game coordinator, running backs, and wide receivers coach, and just a straight up wide receivers and running backs coach at one point. Also was at Illinois as an offensive assistant, running backs coach for Illinois, and football operations guy at Illinois. He went to school at Illinois. He's only 34 years old. He'll be 35 in November. This feels like the next step for him. This is somebody who's coached, at a pretty high level in college, pretty much the closest you can get to being a head coach without being a head coach. And he was an assistant head coach, but being an offense coordinator and quarterbacks coach at Iowa State, that's a good sign. And then he comes to the Rams last year, offensive assistant and passing game specialist. I think it's just a natural move right on down. You go from pass game specialist to going to pass game coordinator, and maybe he gets another role or title or whatever. But, this is a guy that I think you need to keep an eye on. I think Kayley's going to be a head coach. I think this is a smart move for him. It sucks to have him go. It sucks for the Rams to lose him. But make no mistake about it, I think it makes a lot of sense for Kayley. I think he is going to go be a head coach. And the thing about Nathan Scheelhaas is that I think this guy has a chance to be a head coach someday. And when you look at just the guys that you see in now Liam Cohen, don't forget quarterback coach to head coach, Zach Taylor, right? There are just some different circumstances here. And with Sean McVay right now, what he's building, what he is doing, it's fairly evident that there is going to be interest in a Nick Caley. There's going to be interest in Scheelhaas. If they keep doing their thing, things are going to work out. And so that's just the reality of that situation. I don't think it's crazy to say something like that because I think we all know, if you are in the Sean McVay coaching tree, I mean, you got a shot. And I think Scheelhaas is going to be having that kind of continuity and that consistency and the familiarity will help ease the pain and the blow of losing Kayley. The only thing is Kayley, I like the experience. 42, has been in the NFL for a while. Scheelhaas in his second year in the NFL, maybe it might be a little bit much to ask, but I think this is where he goes. I think he'll get the promotion. I think it'll be a nice adjustment there. I know the Rams are also trying to get some other coaches, from different teams, and there was a special teams assistant coordinator or whatever that they were looking at. I forget exactly who it was, but we will not know their coaching staff until after the Super Bowl. I mean, we're not going to know it now. We have an idea that they're losing a lot of guys. Shocker. They lose guys every single season. But yeah, we don't know for sure. So Scheelhaas, I think, will go right into the pass game coordinator role and take over for Kayley. And the last but not least news, the Jaguars are requesting permission to interview Rams director of scouting, James Gladstone. Now, in case you don't know, that's kind of a big deal. Now, Gladstone is a guy that, Snead brought in. He's been really developed in this organization. And I just think that, obviously it's good for him, right? It's really good for him. So I don't want to take anything away. It really sucks right now that we're talking about all these different guys that are leaving and everything. And it's frustrating because, again, this is why there needs to be compensation. I mean, you have one team that is essentially, the fountain of youth over here. All the wealth is coming from the Rams. Meanwhile, you have Kansas City that's not even being touched, and because they're older, right? Still, though, I mean, there needs to be compensation. I'm not going to say it too much after this because I understand I've beaten a dead horse at this point, but losing all these guys, I mean, that would be a big move for James Gladstone. It'd be a huge opportunity for him, so I don't want to take anything away from him. But, the director of college scouting was Brad Holmes, okay? So Brad Holmes then went on to become the Lions GM. And because, he's a minority, the Rams got 2 third-round picks. They would not do that with James Gladstone. So, again, I don't really think it's fair because I'm not saying that you don't deserve picks as a minority coach, minority coach, because you're trying to solve an issue. But having 0 picks for, other coaches just doesn't really make any sense to me. That would be a significant loss in their scouting department. And now you have, and this is a thing that no one really talks about, is like coaching, you have these guys that leave your organization, they know what you're doing and whatever, but think about the front office. Now you have guys in the draft that know how you think, that know the way you do things. And this goes both ways, because if Gladstone was the GM for the Jaguars, the Rams know, okay, this is how Gladstone rolls. But Gladstone also knows how the Rams roll, right? So it makes it tougher when your archetype and the way you do things, and you do things a lot differently. You don't go to the Senior Bowl as much anymore. You don't go to the combines, things like that. You actually do a lot of it in-house. You focus a lot of it on that GPS. You don't really care too much about the 40 time. Things like this leave your building and they go to other coaches and other, not coaches, but I guess coaches to an extent, but, executives. And so then they get their team up to speed on it, and now their team's doing it. And then whenever they move on from whoever, now that is in their building. That's the exact reason why a team like the Rams that's just facilitating all these different coaching staffs and front offices now, they need to be compensated for this stuff. Again, you just can't have a team that's constantly being picked apart, not get any compensation. I just, maybe you do over the, whatever, you do this is what I'll pitch. Instead of the compensation picks for each thing, because that can get a little hectic, although I'm not against it. If you're against the compensation picks for everybody, like the second round, the third round, all that, how about you make it like it's a separate formula, right? It's a separate formula from the compensation picks for losing guys in free agency. So you get a bundle of whatever, you get all the coaches that you lose, and they all come together and you get X amount of picks because of the formula. And if you go and you poach other guys, from other teams, then that negates that formula, right? I think it should be something like that, or it should be the way I had it on, my video before. But either way, I don't want to take anything away from guys like James Gladstone. I don't want to take anything away from guys like Nick Caley. I just think the team deserves a little bit more compensation if they're the ones that are facilitating all these coaches and executives all throughout the league. They're not really getting anything in return. You could say, well, the reputation. Yeah, sure, reputation. But now Sean McVay has to work 2 times, 4 times, 6 times harder than all these other coaches. You think Andy Reid has to work as hard as Sean McVay? There's no way. Andy Reid hires the older guys. So because he hires the older guys, he's out of the woodwork. Well, what's the downside to hiring older guys? I mean, if anything, all you're doing, you're not really progressing the coaching community, right? You're not. You're not at all progressing the coaching. You're not developing these young coaches. I mean, I'm not saying Andy Reid has never developed a young coach, but that is the issue I have with it, is that you have people like Sean McVay and Les Snead that are developing these GMs and these head coaches and keeping the league running and alive and well, and they're not getting any compensation for it. So, I mean, it is what it is, but I have an issue with it. With that said, I do hope James Gladstone gets that job. I'm not going to root against him. That is a huge step up to go from director of scouting. He's been around for a while to getting the GM job for the Jaguars. I hope he gets it. I'm not going to root against him at all. I think it would hurt the Rams, but I'm not going to root against a guy getting a promotion, just like I wasn't going to root against Kayley getting the promotion. I was hoping that the Texans would, maybe go in a different route and then they could have Kayley another year and keep that, kind of solidified, offense. But I'm not going to root against a guy's promotion. I'll never do that. Even if it comes off like I'm doing that, I'm upset because of the factor is that I want to keep everybody in place. I'd like to see Sean McVay just 1 year get to keep the exact same coaching staff. I understand it's not very likely, and you kind of have to just settle with, okay, it's the same offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, and special teams coordinator, and assistant head coach. But it feels like the way he is coached, what he has done for the league at such a young age, I think he deserves to have at least 1 year where he has the same coaching staff. Will probably never happen, but would be nice. Anyway, that's going to do it for me. Not enough bickering, enough complaining, all of that. That is your news there. My next video will be on Myles Garrett and why I am 100% against any trade that would involve Myles Garrett. And it's not just because of Myles Garrett, the player. He's a fantastic player. But I'll get into that in my next video. Hope you guys enjoyed. And as always, be sure to check out Prize Picks. Again, promo code JKBogan will get you $50 instantly when you play your first $5 lineup. And of course, you got your freebie here with Patrick Mahomes that you got to get in on the action now to use. So again, February 9th, it's right around the corner this Sunday. Be sure to get in on the action with Prize Picks, and I'll see you guys soon. Later, folks. If you guys haven't checked out The Lounge, you are missing out. It is my side project that I am very excited about. I've been interviewing athletes, analysts, actors, voice actresses, singers in bands. I mean, the whole nine. So we are going to be doing some great things this year. And if you want to get in on the action, you want to follow what I have to offer over there, including my latest interview with Ahkello Witherspoon, soon to be another Ram, and just plenty more, be sure to check out The Lounge with Jake Ellenbogen. The link is in the description below. Give it a subscription, and if you do so, you'll be entered to win a $100 Amazon gift card. That will be dropped as soon as we hit 1,000 subscribers. In case you guys haven't noticed, I do have a Discord channel for my community on this channel, and if you want to be a part of it, it is free. The link is in the description below. You can sign up. This is basically a 24/7 Rams channel, and we are almost at 1,100 members. So if you want to be a part of it, just hit the link in the description below.